So what's good, everybody? Hope all is well. This is Zachary King from The Future is Female. I am here with the beautiful Theresa Spencer. Theresa, how are you?
You know, I can't complain. Any day above the ground is a good day.
That's a fact. That's a fact. A lot of people not here to tell the story.
Nope.
That's a fact. For those who don't know, please tell the listener audience a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Theresa Spencer. I am the owner of Vintage Grain Communications. My business has been around for close to 7 years. I have 15 years of experience, and I help Black and Brown entrepreneurs and other nonprofits on how to tell their story through effective and strategic marketing.
Got you. What made you get into that right there? Like, what was your calling? What was your turning point?
The turning point for me was seeing how so many businesses did not know how to effectively tell their story. And it made me think, like, if you can't tell your story, and how can you really promote your business? Even when you have a great idea, it's like if you're not truly putting the money into marketing materials, promotion, advertising, you're going to miss out on opportunities like grant funding, donors, sponsorship opportunities. So this was the thing that I said, you know what, I can help with that. Like forget how can I help? Like, I can help you with that.
Okay. What's the difference between marketing and just someone promoting themselves on social media?
Ooh, good question. Marketing is a plan. It's something you're intentional about. You're thinking about what are the goals. They're very goal-driven, and it is something you should be able to check off each milestone that you hit on the marketing plan. So marketing also includes a little bit of communications, public relations, social media, but these are all your tools and your tactics to make an effective marketing plan. Now, promoting yourself on social media, now that's a little different. Promoting myself on social media is like you're using a platform that you don't own in the hopes of reaching your target audience. And in my opinion, that's almost like shooting a dart in like a hay, or shooting you know, what is it? Trying to find the straw in a hay bush.
Right.
And I'm kind of like, no, like, don't get me wrong, you can do it that way, but it may take you a little longer to get to your goals. So I always tell people to invest the money in a website. Even your website ain't got to be all decked out. It can be a landing page where you control the information that goes on there. The other thing is, when you promote yourself on social media, you're at the mercy of another platform. So there's been many times that we've seen Instagram go out, Facebook go out, and everybody like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this.
Right.
When you host your own website or your own platform, you don't have to worry about those glitches. You got to make sure that your information is out there 24/7, because that's the way that people are going to be able to reach you and for you to really connect with your audience.
No, that's absolutely true. And I think a lot of it is turning the mindset into, because a lot of us, you know, myself included, look, all I do is promote on YouTube, promote on Instagram. And I realized that when I did get a website, I had a personal website right now for my other business. But when I did get a website, doors started opening up for me.
That's right.
And a part of that was because I was able to stand out from, you know, let's just be real here, you guys. No matter what business you got, it's saturated on them platforms. So to have a clear marketing plan is really the smart move in the wave to go. With that being said, what are some of the things that people, when you present them with the idea that they need a marketing plan, what are some of the pushback you typically get?
Oh my goodness, another great question. So when people see, like, let's say I give someone a proposal, and I always do about 2 to 3 packages. One is like, okay, we're gonna work on a few things. 2, of course, it just gets a little bit bigger and a little bit better. And then 3 is usually like, okay, pie in the sky. This is the works. So a lot of times, first thing people think is, oh my goodness, I can't afford this. I'm like, well, hold on. Let's think about what your goals are. So that's probably the first thing. It's like, I can't afford this. Second is, people think that once you sign up for, like, let's say promotion or with a firm, that things are going to change in like 24 hours. I always mention to people that this is a journey. Like, I'm learning your story, and now I got to get your story out there to the masses. So we got to make sure we're targeting where we're going to place your story. If it's through broadcast, if that's a hit with Fox 29 or a media outlet, or if that's going to be, maybe we're doing some blog and some thought leadership content for you on LinkedIn, where you're saying, I want to meet more donors and sponsors who can maybe sponsor my event at a 10,000, 25K mark. So it is one of those things where I get the affordability, and then the other thing is like what the goal is. And I think the last piece of it is sometimes they don't necessarily have a budget. A lot of times what I've seen in the last few years is that they'll get a grant for marketing. And once the grant runs out, guess what? They don't need marketing anymore.
Right.
But then I start to see those businesses decline because before they had something consistently in place, but then they don't continue the work even after the marketing relationship is gone.
Right. No, that's absolutely true. And I think that having a marketing person dedicated for that, like a true marketing firm, will prepare you for that as well. Will prepare you for that. What are some of the strategies you use in helping businesses? And you don't got to give away too much, but just let me get some of the ideas, because I think that a lot of it is for a lot of us, it took a lot for us to either become entrepreneurs, to call ourselves that. So to say, I need someone else who can, because it's like, man, I could promote myself online. I could do this, doing that. I got my cousin who has a $50,000 followers, or 50,000 followers who could promote my business. But what are some of the tangibles that you say, hey man, this is why, and this is what we do to get your business to be visible?
So a few things that I'm gonna share right now is how to implement some of the things I'm gonna talk about. So first is, I always ask everyone, do you have an email list? And people will say like, an email list. I'm like, that's your audience. So those business cards that you're getting from these networking events, these are the opportunity for you to put all of them into a email. And you basically now offer your services to a direct client who, when you spoke to them, you said, hey, here's what I do. And they said, oh, great, give me your card. I want to learn more about what you're doing. So now, even if they don't become a client right then and there from that one initial touch point, the second touch point is you sending out an email, which then says, hey, we having, let's say, a fall discount or opportunity or a fall special. And then the other thing is you showcase your expertise. You say, for instance, if you're a videographer, you may say like, hey, I was able to work with Dinner and Blanc. I was able to work with this politician. So now you're showing your expertise to your audience, and that's going to even entice them even more so to work with you. So I definitely say building up a solid email list is the first thing you want to do. The second thing is really using your network. Tell people what you do. There are so many entrepreneurs who are timid sometimes. That's the best way I can explain it, who don't necessarily want to tell people what they do. And I'm like, well, why not?
Right.
So the other thing, if you don't want to tell somebody what you're doing, the other thing is just really getting yourself out there. Is that vending opportunities? Is that working with different, like for instance, I'll bring this up. Newsletters. Newsletters are key. And it may not necessarily be your own newsletter. Sometimes you can reach out to some of your state reps, council members. They have weekly newsletters that go out every single week to their constituents. So that can be anywhere between like 10 and 25,000 people who will see your image, your business for free. A lot of times people pay for advertisements. They're paying hundreds and thousands of dollars hoping. When you know that council person is going to send your information out every single week in their newsletter, that's even more exposure.
What you're saying is awesome, but you hit on something that I want to go back to. You talked about people being timid. Okay, now you are a very attractive woman, smart.
Thank you.
And we're gonna get into your background as well. But for those people who feel as though that they don't have those advantages, how do they overcome that fear to say, I want to promote my business, or to, because I think the entrepreneur, one of the reasons why I wanted to create this platform is because I wanted to remove the the romanticizing that goes on becoming an entrepreneur. Okay. Because I feel like too many people feel like, oh, I would just become an entrepreneur. I don't got to listen to nobody. And it's like, yes, you do. They call customers. And if you don't listen to them, you're going to be out of business really quick.
That's right.
Okay. So what can we do, or what steps can a person do to maybe even build up their self-esteem and to not become so fearful or timid, in your words?
I will say, honestly, practice your pitch. They have all these pitch competitions. And these are people who are like literally pitching their business to complete strangers. But once you pitch and you know there's something at stake, like knowing that you could probably get a prize of a couple $1,000s, you're going to practice. So the more you practice at home with your cousins, with your friends, shoot your shot. Say, hey, y'all, I want y'all to listen to this. Let me know how this sounds. And a lot of times that's just getting comfortable saying what you do. But what I feel like a lot of people think is that becoming an entrepreneur is just being like having like a side hustle. But if you really want your side hustle to become your main paycheck, you got to put work in. Like being an entrepreneur is not just something you just say, okay, I want to do this. It's like there's a lot of time that has to be invested in it. And I think the way you overcome it is really just getting out there, really asking yourself, like, what is my goal and what am I trying to achieve? And just being hungry. Like, I have a shirt that says, like, you're asleep like you're rich, but I'm up like I'm broke.
Ooh. Yo, that's a good word right there.
And I wear that shirt whenever I'm in my hustle mode, when I'm looking for grants, when I'm looking for opportunities, when I'm telling people like, hey, I'm letting you know I need a client. You can't be that person that's like, oh, I don't want to say anything. I'm gonna hope for the best. No, you gotta be out there. You gotta be hustling.
No, I feel that and I respect that too, because I feel like far too often we get so comfortable with this. I don't want to say it because I respect manifestation. I respect it. Words definitely have power, but it comes to the point where you also got to put in that work too. And I feel like too many people get caught up in I'm going to just speak this into existence and not actually doing anything to put it in existence. So right. I definitely appreciate that approach right there. Let's talk about a little about you and how you came up, because what got you to this point? Because did this always come natural to you? Like, or was you a timid growing up and then you just became fearless? Like, what was your come up?
So growing up, it was me and my younger brother. And my mom, again, like she's not American per se. Like she grew up in the Philippines and came over here when she was probably like 25 or so. So she didn't grow up in like this country. So she was very big on like protecting her kids. So she definitely kept us in the house. But I was always had this, like, I don't know, like the energy just to be like, you know what? I don't want to just be in the house. I never was fearful. I was always like, I want to meet people and hear their story. So it was one of those things like growing up. Yeah, it was like, don't get me wrong. We all went through our bumps and bruises of like learning, especially sometimes when you interact with certain people, they definitely teach you a few things about just protecting yourself, protecting your peace. So for me, it was just really like just getting out there. But the reason why, like I said, I started Vintage Green was really about being able to tell the story. If you're not telling your story effectively, like you're not going to reach the goal or the target people that's going to help you build the business up. That's going to make you feel like, yo, my business is thriving.
Right.
So it's one of those things where you have to really know about what you're doing, what your goal is, and who your target audience is, and making sure you're constantly going after them every single day. There's no days off as an entrepreneur. It just isn't. No,
that's real. One of the people that, when you talk about telling your story and getting out there, one of the people that come to mind, and he's from Philly too, is Wallow. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Wallow, shout out to that brother, man. He pulled all the many years in prison to come home and became a multi-millionaire. Okay. He's one of the dudes that I really get inspired by, because there was times where, if you remember his early videos, he was out there in the rain, running around and talking about and he was talking to people. He was talking, he was inspiring people. He had every reason to quit. He came home. I think he was on his grandmama couch or bed, and it was humbling because when I came home, I was in the same boat. I was just like, I'm back home in the room I grew up in, you know, and it's really. But he's one of the people I really admire when it comes to telling your story. And I would like for you to touch on this as well, because even though you tell your story here in the city, this may not be the place that people need to hear it from, you know? So let's talk about like people maybe needing to go to other places to hear their story and so forth and so on.
So hearing the story, like my story is a little different. Like I didn't come from the background where people were entrepreneurs. Like my mom, she worked a 9 to 5 every day. She never talked about being an entrepreneur. But it wasn't until like one day I was actually reading a book when I was younger. It was called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that book, I ain't gonna lie, it really changed my perspective because it really showed me another opportunity where I could bring in money. So don't be wrong, when I went to school, I went to college, I went to Kutztown University, studied journalism, PR. But then it gave me this opportunity to say, like, I could always have something else, just in case, like, when I did get a 9 to 5, if the 9 to 5 decided, hey, Theresa, we don't need your services no more, I could always say, you know what, I've built up this other business that I don't ever have to feel like I don't know where my next paycheck is going to come in. I don't want to always have to rely on, like, you know, if I had to get unemployment, like, I know I had this business, a solid business providing a service that anybody can use. If you're a business owner, everyone needs marketing. And marketing isn't always like, hey, I got a billboard. Oh, I got these big ticket items. Sometimes it's really just getting your name out there.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. So in touching on social media and like your presence, how do a person maintain a solid social media presence and then also promote it for their business and not necessarily for them?
So the biggest thing that you can do when it comes to social media, look at your current social media pages and really do an audit. That's the best thing I can say. Do an audit. See what pictures, what reels you're posting out there, and how does that represent your brand. And if there's some things that you don't think you would want, like let's say you wanted to work with Oprah, you was like, wait a minute, I don't think Oprah need to see
you getting turned up in Cancun, right?
Or
that girls trip, leave that thing on, right?
Acting all types of crazy,
right?
You may want to take some of those. You might want to archive those. Or the other thing is, like, if you know that you're going to have a personal page and you want to do that, make that private.
Right.
Make your business pages. That's where people go to. Like, it's nothing wrong with having your personal page. Keep it personal and private, but keep your business page where you show all the glowing things, show your media touch points, show your press releases, show your expertise. This is, again, your business pages represents your business.
Right.
Not necessarily your personal. Your personal should be just for your friends, family, people that
know you. Right.
But not the potential business owners.
No, what you're saying is absolutely true and I'm learning that as well. When I first started, I only had like one page, and I would just, I would have pictures of me and my daughter. Then I would have pictures of me at work. Then I would have pictures of me eating. Then I would have pictures of me in Miami. Then I would have pictures of me, doing podcasting. And I never forgot, I had a homeboy. He worked, he's a rapper, and he has some good connections here in the city. And he was like, I'm calling my rap homie up. I'm trying to get you on as his personal photographer. And he was like, yo, but what exactly do you do again? And I was like, huh? He's like, because I don't know. Like, you got your 360 page here. You got this. He's like, and he's going through my thing. And he's like, tell me some of the videos that you have done. And it was so embarrassing because this is an opportunity for me to get in a room that I wouldn't have been able to get into before had he not gave me the alley-oop. And I can't even slam it because it's like, it's so scattered, and no one, I don't give a crap how good you think your food is, how good you do hair. No one is going through all that. No one is going through all that searching. So I appreciate you putting it out there and letting people know that they must go ahead and be a little bit more focused and narrow-minded.
That's right.
Mentorship. Are you open to mentorship? Like people who want to learn from you, and because you have a lot going on right now.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I actually just did an internship with PCDC, And that's an initiative in Chinatown where I had an opportunity to work with one of their students for 6 weeks. So I showed them what I did in terms of like social media management, creating like branded static images, and also understanding editing, the importance of editing. Now, this student, he was phenomenal in the sense that he took what I gave him, which was very little, and he created an amazing video of his time working with me.
Wow.
So,
did you know he was doing that?
I mean, it was his final project.
Okay.
So I was like, I need you to create a reel. It shows like your opportunity being an intern. And he literally showed it from the time he got up and got in his car, was driving, doing like video editing. He also was doing photography at the time. So me and him actually would go out and we would do kind of like walking photo shoots.
Right,
so I'm
right.
always I'm always open to working with youth because again, like this is your opportunity to pour in your expertise. It's also for me to always hone in and always keep up with the trends and making sure that things are still fresh and vibrant. Definitely open to it.
No, definitely. I appreciate that. One of the things that you talked about, and I wanted to bring this up anyway, but you touched on it. You say you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? Yeah. What other good books have you read that changed your life or made it change the scope of how you see things?
So that's a good question too, because I love reading. Like I am definitely that book nerd or book whatever. Like I always read as a child. Like my mom didn't always want to put me like, let's say in camp. So she would be like, okay, we're going to get the book. It was like a book challenge where you would have to read like 12 books over the summer. And my mom, she definitely enrolled me in that. And that was my love for books. So as I've gotten to be an adult, I'll say The 48 Laws of Power. I still go back to it every day. I mean, not every day, but like I go back to it frequently because there's a lot of things that was very helpful there. And then I also went and got The 48 Laws of Seduction.
Yeah, The Art of Seduction is dope. Yep. Dope.
So that was also like another great book. And then The Art of War. So these were like definitely books that just really shaped me, my thought process, how to deal with conflict, how to deal with myself, how to deal with people.
Right.
And then I want to say, I just started reading Presence. Okay. So I'll get back to you on that one.
Okay. I was reading 50 Cent new book, right? Okay. I forgot exactly. It was on my Amazon. Usually I realize I like to actually read and sit down and read. The problem of it is, okay, so to get me to sit down takes a lot, okay? But once I'm sitting down and doing it, I'm okay. So, but because I was listening to, the problem was when I was listening to it on audio, it was like my mind wasn't completely focused to it. You know, it was like I'm playing chess while I'm, supposed to be just listening to that. And then I found myself, when I'm sitting down long enough, I found myself falling asleep. So it was kind of like I needed that time to actually read. And that's cool too, because one of the things that we talk about here on this platform is finding your quiet place, finding that time for you. So with that being said, with everything that you got going on, how do you find time for you? Like, are you a cooker? Are you a meditator, a workouter? Or, like what exactly do Theresa do when it's time to detox?
So before I answer that question, the reason why I can say that I have that me time is I create real boundaries. Meaning that if I say I gotta be in bed by 11:30, whatever I'm doing, it's great to have a good time. But I know I need to be in the car and I need to be home by a certain time so I can get my rest. So for me, how I kind of decompress is when I come home, I do like to cook. And I mean like cook everything from scratch. Like it's typically not a lot of cans or anything. It's literally me going to the market and picking up like fresh vegetables and, doing all the things that I need to do because I really want the food that I'm putting in my body to actually like nourish me. So I don't really do a lot of like microwave. It's like prepared food from scratch. Right. So that kind of helps me think about things in a, more strategic and creative way. The other thing I'll do when I'm stressed out is I'll go to the gym. I love doing like a spin class. It helps pushes me, and it also helps me focus on my workout.
Right.
Because when you on that spinning bike, you don't want to, for one, fall off because you're not paying attention.
Right.
Two, you see all these other people in the class and they moving, they're up on the bike, they standing. You're like, oh my goodness, I want to do that too. Because for one, I'm very competitive. So for me, a spin class is amazing. It's like you can't just fake it in the spin class. You're gonna be dripping sweat when you walk out of there.
Right.
So those are my two things: cooking and then working out.
No, that's good. That's good. And I'm trying to find that balance myself because I don't go to the gym as regularly as I need to and as I should. And there's a lot of times where it's like, I'm one of the ones that I enjoy working out. Like I enjoy the physicality of it. And not so much of even me thinking about trying to lose weight or get muscular. I just like to push and like, and see what my boundaries are and go there. Like that is definitely me. One of the things when I used to play basketball, I used to love going in the hole and in the middle. I love that contact. I love that. So I could definitely feel you. So when you say going into the spin class, it sounds like the same thing. Like you just love that rush that you get that's in there. So absolutely. Are there any women in which you look up to?
Oh my goodness, of course. Because again, like I'm really big on what people see, or even with youth, what people see or youth see, they can become. So even though this person was a fictional character on a show, like I used to love watching Living Single growing up. It was like
Maxine,
Queen Latifah,
right?
And I just loved Queen Latifah's character. Her name was Khadijah.
Right? Khadijah James, right?
Khadijah James,
Khadijah
exactly.
James, right?
And she owned her own magazine, Flavor
Unit. Yeah, Flavor, right? Yo, that is a fact. She did do that,
and
right?
when I saw that, even though that was a show, it inspired me to say, why not me?
My daughter's mom, she said she went to college because she's seen a different world.
Yeah.
So it really do. She said a different world changed her life.
That's right.
So
That's right.
Absolutely. So yeah, Khadijah James, she owned a magazine, and I think Maxine Shaw, she was a lawyer too.
She was a lawyer, right? So this was the first time at my age seeing some Black women who were like doing amazing things. Like from my family, like my aunts, it was kind of like the same thing you always hear about Black women. They're either like caretakers, nurses,
teachers,
stuff, right. Things like that. But this is the first time for me growing up. I saw these women. I saw a Black woman who was a lawyer, and even like I'll say, even real life people, of course, would just be like, of course, for me it was like Oprah, seeing this Black woman who was literally giving out gifts and awards, and then having her own book club. That people still to this day are like, oh my goodness, I want to make sure I want to get on Oprah's couch to talk about my book.
Right.
So seeing those influences, and then of course it was like, again, I've told you I was a poet.
Right.
I don't consider
Do you still
it anymore.
write?
I do.
Still write?
More like short stories, but seeing and reading some of the works of Maya Angelou.
Right. Right.
That
right.
That, like her books, her poetry. That changed me. And I always say any book that you read cover to cover or whatever, even if you don't finish the whole thing, it becomes a part of you. Hearing and reading that story, hearing what an author went through, it's like I almost feel like me and this person are connected.
You do feel connected to him. No, absolutely. I remember I'm not much of a reader. Like I said, I have not read many books since coming home, but when I was in jail, obviously I read the whole library.
Yeah.
And no, you feel like there was time periods where they're not really like my favorite books, but there was something to do. I used to read a lot of John Reacher books. And you read so many of them, you would really like kind of internalize that stuff. Like you'd be like, I know about war, I know about this, and I hear about that. So you really do. And books are so important for especially for our youth, man. The imaging that are put out there for our youth to absorb is terrible. Let's talk about the imaging of the Black woman, because you are you have a Filipino background, correct?
Yes.
You wasn't born here in Philadelphia. You was born in Hawaii, right?
In Guam.
In Guam, right,
Yeah.
right. So have you been back to your country? Or
I've been to the Philippines, yes.
You have?
Yeah.
So how is that? Do they, and this is really, really good that you hear because Kamala Harris is running for president.
South
and she
Asian.
has a Asian background too, correct? Is it she's Indian and what else? It was like Jamaican. Indian, Jamaican. Cool.
Yeah.
So with that being said, so being a black woman, when you go there, because when you come to the States, we identify you as black. When you go there to your country, do they also identify you as black or do they see you as Filipino?
Black.
Okay.
Black, yeah. Don't get me wrong, like I'll never forget when I did go back, I was definitely the kid that was not necessarily like all my other cousins because my mom,
Right.
let me go take it even further back. My grandma married a black man and then created my mom. So she's half and half. And then my mom married a black man. So now I'll say I'm a quarter Filipino.
Right.
But going over there, I was different. My hair was curly. My hair, like when my hair got wet, it didn't just, like lay. Like I had to had to do some work to get it back.
Right.
So being around my cousins, like they never treated me differently in any way, but it was also, again, like I always knew I was different as well too.
Right. So when you go back there though, right? What does that difference feel like? Do it feel like the difference feel like I don't really belong, but y'all tolerating me? Do it feel different? Like they're just amazed by me and they want to learn more? Like what does that difference feel like?
So the difference for me, when I'm with my family, it's, oh my goodness, Theresa's here. Then it turns into, we want to learn about everything that's happening in the United States. And the reason why is because, the Philippines, the area that I grew up in, essentially it's a third world country. So meaning there wasn't any paved roads. Like when the monsoon season came, the roads were literally mud and then they would basically turn into like dirt pools. Right. So it was hearing about the freedoms and the liberties that we have here in the United States. Like a lot of my cousins, they aspire to come over here because, right now, like here, I can drive, I can work. And sometimes the same opportunities aren't in that country.
Absolutely.
A lot of times it's like, you either just hope for the best, you become like you're kind of doing like lay work, I guess, and you just kind of just do what you can, which may not always be a lot.
I'm gonna ask a little bit of a controversial question, okay? And I want to know, how do they look at black women who are 100% black women over there? Do they look at them? Is it an admiration? Is it a disdain? Like and not saying necessarily your family, but I'm talking about when you go to foreign countries. What is the perceptions of Americans, more importantly, African American women?
So that's an excellent question because for me, I travel a lot, vacations, and I always feel like whenever I go to certain areas, if they see me as a black woman, they automatically assume I must be here with a man. They automatically don't want to talk to me, even though I may be the person who had booked everything. I probably was the person they've been in contact with. But for them, their perception is that for me to be over here, that someone else must have paid for it. Someone else must be in charge. And it's kind of like you almost like feel very...
Minimized?
Minimized. Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good way. It's like you feel minimized. You feel belittled a bit. That sometimes that even though you're talking to, let's say, another man over there, they automatically don't even want to talk to you. They want to talk to you like, where's your husband? Like, let me talk to him, as if like my voice doesn't matter. So it's been many times I've been to different countries and different islands where you almost feel like, again, if you're not there with a man, it's like you almost don't exist.
That's interesting. Now, to give a little bit of pushback, and I don't know this because I'm only just speculating, is that I think there's more about like there are men that's probably like heavy traditional base where a woman would not go outside certain boundaries unless it was a man there. Like our women have a little bit more of a independence than other women, to put it gently, okay? Because I know You know, like even like so much as things that we take it for granted here, but like even buying a car, that's still very different for a lot of women, even here in the States, where when you know, we all know when they go buy a car, you know, it's 1,000 questions, there's a lot of probing questions, and it's like, look at here, little lady, are you trying to seriously buy a car? Or like, you know, and women also have to. That's the reason why, again, platforms like this is important, because you get to tell that side of the story. You know, you get for people who may not have ever understood this before, but now get to hear that, you know. And let me put this out here too, for those who can't see it. This woman is 5'0", okay? She is so tiny. And I can imagine that working for you and also working against you. How do you feel when you walk into, because you deal with a lot of corporate stuff as well. So how do you feel when you walk into these corporate spaces and they say, the person you need to talk to is over there, and you got a 6'something guy and you're 5 foot and you're a woman and you're a black woman? How did that look? How do you approach that?
And now if you ask me that question, maybe like, I'll give it 5 years ago, I'd have been like, oh my goodness, this is going to be such a to do. But then now, when somebody tell me I gotta talk to somebody who is 6 whatever, I go over there proudly. I always start off calm, but I always say I match energies too. Now, if you come in with a-hole energy, guess what? I'm going to show you
a-hole energy.
Yes. So, but I always definitely just approach it like, hey, I'm a professional. I'm talking to another professional. And just get right to the point. That's the other thing. A lot of times, women, when we're in corporate, we just feel like we have to be super nice. We have to talk softly. We have to do all of these things so that people listen to us. But when I see my male counterparts, they go in there, pull their pants up, and they say whatever they need to say, and then they walk out. Sometimes we just got to embody that as well too. Like I get right to it. This is what I need. How can you help me? You can't help me? Cool. I'm moving on to the next thing.
I respect it. Do you feel as a black woman, because you more, hold on, let me say this. Do you more identify on your Filipino side, or is it more as a black woman?
As a black woman.
Okay. Yeah. So as a black woman, do you feel as though like there's a sense of responsibility that come with you? Like I need to make sure that those who come, like I need to represent and hold this down for the sisters that may not be in this space. Do you feel that way?
Absolutely. Like I grew up in Southwest.
Shout out to Southwest, y'all. Shout out to Southwest, y'all.
And again, like a lot of people don't ever even believe it. They're like, you from Southwest? I'm like, and it's like when people say that, I'm almost like, well, what does that mean? Like, how are we knocking this one area? Because not to get all into it, but I know when growing up, people would be like, oh, you know, they would always say the pretty girls live in like Mount Airy, West Oak Lane, and then like, you know, the not so attractive women are from like West Philly and Southwest Philly. And I was like, hold up now. I'm a product from Southwest Philly. So I don't consider myself like, you know, like over the top bougie, but I do have my bougie ways, and I also have my Southwest ways. So I think it's one of those things where it's just like I always represent because someone changed my perspective. And if I can pour back into my community in any way, I will. Like that one thing I would love to do is start this golf camp.
I wanted to talk about golf. I was leading up to golf because I wanted to talk about golf because look, let me put this out here for anybody. She's also changing the landscape, not only just how black women are perceived, but where black women actually go. This woman is trying to change and open up more opportunities for black women to do golf because we know that a lot of these deals that goes down, a lot of these things that happen, like these multi-million-dollar, you know, acquisitions, it happens on a golf course.
That's right.
So she trying to do more to put more sisters on there. Special shout out to this woman right here. But go ahead, please tell a little bit more. I'm over here gushing about it. I don't mean it. I'm sorry.
So the golf thing started maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and it started before the pandemic. And I'll never forget, I was working at a bank at the time, and a woman invited me to her golf happy hour. And I remember sitting there saying, like, I don't know about this golf thing. You know, I had my own judgments. I thought it was more so a man's thing. But I went to the clinic and loved it, like instantly. Loved it, and then bought my own clubs, and then that was it. So then it made me think about when I started practicing on my own with my trainer. I would walk up to the golf course with my golf clubs, and I'd be the only black woman. Only.
She needs some company, y'all.
So then it's, sometimes you feel a little intimidated. You're like, oh my goodness, I'm out here with all these men, and here I come 5-0, as you say, with these big old golf clubs on my back. But I was like, you know what? If I can inspire other women, they can see me doing it, then they can maybe see themselves doing it as well. And this is another opportunity for us to network, to really grow our brands and being in different spaces. Because a lot of times we think that how we network is going to like a social event. Sometimes it's going to the golf course and sitting there talking for a couple of hours, getting to know one another in a space where there's no distractions. So for me, if I can get this golf camp up the way I would love to, I would actually want to do it for not only black women, but also for black youth. And that doesn't always have to be just for girls. It could be girls and boys. Because again, if you can change someone's perspective at a young age, who knows what their trajectory is going to be? Who knows what they could possibly do? But we have to at least provide the opportunity to women, to youth, to be able to do something different.
No, I totally agree. And if there's any, we know there are congresswomen and women that are in high position who have the funding, who have the resources to make that happen. Please, let's make that happen, because we need it got to be a safe space for our women to go. We got to be able to provide safe spaces for our women to go. And we need to be able to have them to work in rooms that they were not traditionally at before.
Right.
We are so past the kitchen. You got women in boardrooms. In a few short months, we might be seriously looking at the first woman president of our country. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
With that being said, we need to, because I believe that part of the pushback that she receives is the fact that people don't know what to expect from us. So it's like we need a platform in which people could see black women in a different light than what's being portrayed on Love and Hip Hop or Basketball something. We need that. And again, they got their space, so I don't want to pick on them. Right. But we just need, it becoming too lopsided. We need some balance that goes on, because our people, we are so decent. Like, we got so many talents. So to be limited to only to basketball or to be this or to be that, it's like, no. We could expand, you guys. But that a lot of that also comes from us and what we put our dollars behind. We can't listen. At the end of the day, you guys, I put this out here a few more times, that this stuff is a business. And if you guys continuously support the ratchetness, support the foolishness, they're going to keep coming out with it. That's what I'm saying? Today is lip gloss. Tomorrow will be some other craziness. And you be like, what? Yeah. But they're trying to make money. They're trying to make money. With that being said, in closing, let's talk about where people could find you, where people could... what I didn't ask you was, how did you get the name Vintage Green? How did you get that?
Oh, excellent question. So Vintage Green was actually something I had coined just in conversation. It was one day me and one of my good friends were just talking about the Eagles, because I'm an Eagles fan. Okay. Love all my Philly teams. And we just started talking about them. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to start something. And they were like, what are you talking about? I said, I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to call it Vintage Green.
Just like that.
Just like that. But then they said, well, why? And I said, for one, I've always considered myself a very classic person. Very classy. I love timeless. Things that have a long shelf life or a lifespan. And then I said, green is the color of money, and everybody trying to get paid. Right. And two, it's also green is also represents life, vitality. It do. So I said, this is something where I breathe into when I work with entrepreneurs. That I bring them new life through the work that I do with Vintage Green. I help them see the light in their own business. Because sometimes some people come and they're like, oh, I don't know, and how about this? I'm like, well, wait a minute. I'm going to be your biggest supporter if I'm working with you. I'm going to make sure we hit all of the goals. So Vintage Green is about trust. It's about working together. But again, it's about, growing your business to the point where you want it to be.
I love it. And in this short conversation, I'm telling you, she's spitting out a lot of tangibles. I just really hope that the people that are listening are really picking up what you're putting down, because you are dropping a lot of jewels. Even in this short conversation, I'm like, dang, I dropped the ball on this business right here. And listen, if I can come there and I could admit that, I'm pretty certain that there's somebody else who's doing the same and saying, hey, give this woman a call. She can help out with your business. There's a few people I would also like to introduce you to. And anyone out here who is underneath my sound of my voice and that want to be a part, that want to either, become a client or feel like they could do a collaboration. Are you open to collaborations and stuff?
Absolutely.
So anyone that's interested in doing that, please give this beautiful queen a call and put your information out there one more time. And after that, I promise I'll let you go. I just don't want to let you go. You're dropping jewels. You just don't want to let you go.
You can find me at Vintage Green Inc. on IG, Twitter, aka X, Facebook. You can also hit me up on my website, which is Vintage Green Inc. Don't forget the Inc.com. I'm on all the social platforms. Again, best way to reach me is through email. So you can reach me at info@vintagegreeninc.com.
Cool. With that being said, I'm Zachary King. I appreciate your story. I appreciate your energy. I appreciate your perspective. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.